This is a bit of an odd one, as it actually started in a massively multiplayer online game. The MMO guild in session was an RPG about a town out of the way in a creepy area. I joined with a friend. For a while, it was great. We got some really good stories in the place. It was very D&D inspired, and as someone who always wanted to play D&D, I loved it. But as time went on, I noticed that many in-game events, a certain group of people, including the guild leader, were talking about events and conversations that no one knew about. At first, we just assumed that it was missing random roleplay, but soon we noticed some of it were very major events with no mention on our Discord or of it happening at all. We thought a clique was forming and kindly pointed out to the game master, but the guild leader flatly said there is no clique group and everyone is welcome to engage in all events. Hey man, you've been holding the great acts of inclusion for a while. I thought you could, share it with the rest of us. Axe? I have no axe. I am axe free. Dude. What? Why are you... Wait! There is no axe here! Oh, what the heck? We eventually found out by someone that the reason we were missing vital roleplay was due to the guild leader running an online D&D game of the town that he only invited certain people to. We only found this out as the person who told us was invited to this private game. But after realizing that plots from the D&D game were being incorporated to the MMO guild and calling that out as being unfair, they then said that the clique got very upset with them about being hostile and said many rude things, which unfortunately made them leave the guild and obviously the D&D group. I feel like people use the word cringe too much, and I've been trying to minimize it here on the tavern, but when I see video game and tabletop elitism, I think cringe is the perfect word. Hello! In the spirit of the holidays, I really took my time on reading this one. Look, you guys fill my inbox, okay? It's not my fault. I thought I'd share the cautionary tale of my first ever character death, which also happens to be my first character in the first ever campaign I ever joined. If anyone can learn anything from this, it's just don't play with jerk players who have jerk player characters. Here's the cast. Me as a lawful neutral aligned cleric, a lawful neutral aligned ranger who was sort of homebrewish but mostly a ranger, paladin with an unclear alignment, likely evil and ranger's best friend out of game, barbarian, bard, artificer, all other players, none really important to the story but all chaotic good / neutral good. Also, of course, the Dungeon Master. A little backstory leading up to the incident. My cleric was definitely one of the more cautious members of the group, haunted by past trauma that left him betrayed by his church and thinking he hurt the love of his life, and despite multiple attempts by the party to get him to open up and have fun, he never really became close friends with any of them. He viewed the party more as co-workers, but often considered them trustworthy and enjoyed traveling with them, more so than the others. Now, the ranger in particular had an affinity for getting drunk and being a jerk, and once tried to get my cleric to join him, but I had sworn off alcohol when becoming a holy man. So I joked that he could roll persuasion, and he rolled that one. Everyone gave it a ha-ha, shucks so well, and moved on. A fun discovery about my cleric came to light during a fight against an evil sorceress who had an affiliation with necromancers or vampires, something like that. During the fight, I had been rolling wisdom saves against something each turn, but my proficiency plus high wisdom meant I passed them easily, until I didn't. And my dungeon master, with glee, offered me a new character sheet, that of a demon. Look, I love a good transformation twist as much as the next guy, but let's put it like this. When you play as the Dark Urge, you're choosing to do so, and the game makes it clear that your actions have consequences, like... There should be foreshadowing to the transformation. Just pulling it out randomly from a saving throw on some random cleric is... See, it just doesn't hit as hard. I was possessed by something, and it finally came out. Well, I attacked the party, downed a couple of them, then they managed to take down the demon, and I came back to my normal form with no memory of the event. We managed to finish off the sorceress, and I landed the final blow, disappointed to discover this was only the sorceress's simulacrum, and that she still yet lived. My party blew up on me, specifically the ranger and paladin, for what I had done, but my cleric had just no idea. This only divided him from the party further and left him racked with guilt. We tried to get him exorcised, but apparently, surprisingly, it turned out I wasn't possessed by a fiend, rather something else. This left me with a lot of questions, but we still had quests to finish. Now onto the final straw. I'm pretty sure the party had just reached level 10. The current quest had us hunting down an adult red dragon, and it's... Wait, what? I mean... I guess you could try. I think I know what it would end up like, though. We made it through the lair, fought some minions, we reached the cave with the dragon in it. Who do we happen to find there but the evil sorceress, who offered us a deal. She would help us fight the dragon. Okay, that makes sense. And we would give her half the loot. Out of everyone in the party, I was the only one who didn't want to take her up on the deal. Everyone else wanted to accept, then betray her once the dragon was dead and attack her. I was bewildered at their optimism that we would be able to kill her and the dragon when we had already beaten her the first time, and this one wasn't her simulacrum, so she'd have double the health. Sure, we're a couple levels higher now, but she was powerful. Despite my concerns, we accepted her deal and fought the dragon. I'm actually curious. What would you guys do in this situation? Because I can kind of see both sides. Frankly, you shouldn't be on this quest in the first place, because, you know. But still, unless the DM nerfed the crap out of that dragon, or you just have hella fire resistance, I feel like you just got put in a lose-lose deal. We started a new session partway through the fight, so one of the players wasn't there for the remainder of the battle. Artificer. It was a brutal fight. The sorceress was detrimental to our win, and it was barely a win at all. By the end of it, I had less than 20 health left, and 1 first level spell slot. Almost everyone else had the same except the ranger, who had single-digit health. Now, I tried to convince the party to let her take half the horde and just be on her dang way. There was still plenty of gold for us, but my party was crazy. They wanted to go at her. She hadn't lost any health during the fight, just a few spell slots. The sorceress drew a line on the floor of the cave to indicate which half was her share. She announced that if any of us crossed that line, we would be disintegrated. Despite this, the ranger was insistent. I don't know if he just wanted to die or what.
Whoa, what is this thing? Whoa. Be careful with that thing. This is some ancient, old magic we're dealing with, okay? It's not your destiny to die this way. You touch that thing, it might completely disintegrate you. Ow! Ow! Oh! Ow! Oh my god! These spikes are actually sharp! Oh! You touch that thing, it might completely disintegrate you. See, I don't really see the big... No! Oh, the power is overwhelming me. How did I not foresee this? What? Why am I even here?
My cleric stood in front of the line. I told the dungeon master that if any of the party members were to cross the line, I was holding an action to hit them. I couldn't bear to let their love of money get them murdered. Well, the ranger went to cross. I bopped him over the head with my mace, and down he went. I literally did 7 or 8 damage, but it wasn't enough. This set the ranger off, and he argued with me and the dungeon master and cursed me out. I told him it was what my character would do, that I know his player character can be foolhardy and hungry for gold and often jumps in without thinking. Despite them not getting along, I wanted him to live. As I was trying to convey this, the paladin laid on hands the ranger for 5 hit points and he came back up. I narrated that my cleric held up his hands in surrender and tried again to say my piece, but he shot me and I went down. Then he described how he walked over to my character, picked him up, and threw him into a pool of lava. Sam, thank you so much for saving my life, carrying me through this horrid journey. And now please die in the lava. He did all this just so I would be unhealable. And at the Dungeon Master's protest, he smugly decreed it's what his character would do. The other party members were all quiet. No one knew what to actually do. Not really, but the Dungeon Master ended the session, and he called me privately afterwards. He apologized for not intervening, commended me for not letting the ranger get himself killed because he fully would have disintegrated him with the sorceress and offered a choice. He narrated the sorceress would have seen my body in the lava and used telekinesis to pull me out while the others were distracted, and she resurrected me later.
Betrayed by my friends. Well, what the heck. Villain! Why did you resurrect me? You tried to kill me. 10, 20, 25. It's been a lot. Why bring me back now? Look, I may be evil, But killing you after you try to save their lives? I mean, those guys are just stupid. I know. Hey, wanna grab a coffee? Oh, heck yeah, man. Yeah!
He said I could catch up with the party and rejoin, and I said no, that my cleric would not rejoin them. The sorceress offered for me to join her, as she knew I was possessed by something powerful, and I turned her down as well, and went off on my own. When the artificer heard of what happened while I was gone, he grew angry on my behalf and decided that he didn't want to be in this campaign anymore, and he left the group too. I was crushed, truly devastated that my firstborn player character had his story end in such a way. I thought I was doing the right thing, and I got punished for it. I ended up making a new character, a chaotic evil rogue that fit better with the rest of the party, but the campaign just fizzled out after a couple of months due to the kind of drama in game. As for the ranger, I still don't know why he did what he did. If he was just being petty or truly decided that he hated my character with everything in him. Either way, the player confessed to being in love with me. What? In another life, I would have loved getting disintegrated and throwing people in lava with you. Wayman, are you okay? Anyway, yeah, confessed to being in love with me a few months after this ordeal, and I could not turn him down quick enough. Let's just ignore whatever that ending was and focus on it's what my character would do. We often frame this as a bad thing because sometimes it is used in a way that is negative. We see the ranger using it in a negative way, using it as an excuse to violently murder and melt another person's player character. Now, on the other hand, the cleric is using it as what my character would do in the way that's supposed to be used, genuinely explaining character actions that make the game more fun. I mean, it's not fun for people just to get instantaneously disintegrated. The cleric is doing a reasonable action that fits in character. What your character does should make the game more fun for both the dungeon master and the players. If what your character would do is killing a bunch of super plot relevant NPCs, murdering player characters for no reason, that is bad because for a lot of groups, that's going to make things a lot less fun and a lot more of a pain in the butt. That's where the problem lies. But if what your character would do is like, I don't know, healing people, picking flowers, or heck, murdering people in the campaign where that fits, then that is perfectly fine. Man, I've seen PvP for some dumb reasons, but trying to kill someone because they're saving your life, that's a pretty dumb reason. I was playing with this group for 3 years, in the same universe as another group by the same game master. Two groups, sometimes affecting each other in universe, and at the end, there was supposed to be a big conflict between these two groups. Of note, my party is arguably the more evil one. We've done some bad things, and we generally go our own way, which does set us up for this final conflict with the good guys. Also, there's some strange homebrew items in our party, specifically a coat that allows us all to merge into one. Man, you have to drop the stats for that. Weebs would kill for a Gundam D&D group. We basically each take our own turns inside the body, moving, taking actions, taking the greatest of AC, saving throws. Man, if you ever wanted your party to be equally murderable by Disintegrate and Fireball, this is a great way to do it. At this final session, we're hanging out in a town we were building when the big bad guy, a GM-controlled NPC, appears with the other group. So it's us versus the other party and the Game Master's NPC. Also, with the other party are 4 wizards that surround the battle arena, holding a shield up to prevent any of our allies from getting in. Notably, the Game Master would frequently use these NPC wizards to cast Counterspell at 9th level for the benefit of the other party. We kill the cleric, and the Game Master jumps in to decide that when one of us dies, they get a legendary action to do one thing, and he mass heals his party. Okay, fine. They kill one of us, she heals us as well. I would say, target the healer, they're gonna heal, but they did. You killed the cleric, but they healed anyway, so I guess get screwed! During this fight, in a critical moment where an athletics check could decide if we win or lose, the GM decided to allow the other party to use their inspiration to make us re-roll the check. This has no precedent in the campaign. We've never used inspiration offensively. We rolled well enough anyway to win about 4 rerolls as the other party used their inspiration on our athletics check, and again, the GM said that he had been keeping track of the joke inspirations we had awarded to him throughout the campaign, and he started using his inspiration to make us reroll.
You won't be taking that action anytime soon, cause I have inspiration. I also have inspiration. Joke's on you, cause I have another inspiration. Will I have inspiration. Aren't you the dungeon master? Yeah, I don't know if you should be weighing in on. I have inspiration. I have inspiration. I have inspiration, players. I have inspiration. I have inspiration.
So the GM is explicitly making us reroll using his inspiration to try and kill our party. We survive anyway. So then, we finally gain advantage, revivifying one of our dead party members and polymorphing her to keep her alive. This was not counterspelled because the wizards had used their reactions already. At the top of the next round, the GM tells us that a ring on the dead cleric's finger starts to glow. The GM-controlled NPC Big Bad, who was at the top of the initiative, then retrieves the ring and reveals to us it's a ring of 3 wishes, which recharges every 100 years, which just relapsed just now. He, the game master, then uses the ring to wish for our party to be dead. And I waited the allotted amount of time. After that, the game master and the other party gleefully described how they used the wishes to undo all the things we've done over 3 real-life years in the campaign. The GM swears up and down he was completely unbiased, and it could have gone either way. What happened after? This was 2 days ago. The only aftermath thus far is this post and some rumblings between those of us that got screwed over. That campaign was the final session of the whole campaign. There was no more games to be played. Also, this session was held in person for most people. I was remote. So I don't have insight into what happened when the call ended, but I doubt there's much drama as we're all adults and we are all long-term friends. Was there any indication of this behavior before? No, there was none. He was a reasonable game master in all of our previous sessions. In his defense, he had only had to balance one party's interest before that time. It's my belief that the game master had attached his ego to his big bad NPC, and his explanation for the inspiration screwery when I confronted him was that he was mad that he forgot to counterspell the dying action of our party member. So to make up for it, he decided to allow the inspiration screwery and use his game master inspirations to try and kill us. He clearly felt like he was on their team and unable to act fairly when it came to his rulings. I can forgive a mistake like that, but to plainly deny it and pretend like you were completely fair just made me lose all respect for him. Look, if you don't want the bad guys to win, don't make the player characters the bad guys. I think it's an interesting concept, building up 2 campaigns for a big, epic conclusion, but the DM clearly does have a favorite here. I think as a dungeon master, plainly lying when the players know you're lying is just one of the worst things you can do. We're going to talk about pulling back the curtain a lot in this video, and yeah, pulling back the curtain to reveal that you are favoring another party in this whole PvP battle is like the worst thing you can do, especially since the DM doesn't even really need to pull back the supposed curtain. Their plain and obvious favoritism throughout the game is just really, really rough. One thing I want to highlight though is rule changes. We as DM, sometimes in the middle of a combat or in the middle of a session, we think, oh crap, that rule might need some adjusting. I would encourage you, though, to hold back on doing it mid-game unless it's very, very urgent, especially if you're adjusting rules to save the party. Because if you need to do that mid-combat, it might get obvious to them, and that is really going to break the veil of immersion. If it can't be helped, it can't be helped. But just, if you need to change rules, do it between the games. Hey Crispy, I recently stumbled across your channel and have been listening to your videos while I work, so I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring. I'm bad at English, so I apologize for any mistakes in sentence structure. This story is from like 5 years ago, and I have really bad memories, so I use old private messages I had with another player in tandem with context clues for most of the in-depth information. The D&D campaign I was in with my old friends had ended, so we were on break and we couldn't find another IRL group since we lived in a small rural town with no driver's license, so I thought I would find an online group. I eventually found a Discord server with around 30 people and joined in. I requested to join a campaign that was soon to start and run by one of the moderators of the server every week. There were 2 other players in the group. One guy, I'll call him Walter.
I am the one who knocks.
And the other girl, we'll call her May. We created our characters in D&D Beyond. I had a Warforged Ranger, and I don't remember what the other 2 were. This was DM's first time running any sort of game. Session 0 started, and there weren't many problems. I got along well with the other players and the Dungeon Master. The start was kind of generic, being that we started in an Adventurers Guild with various other tropes, but we were patient with the Dungeon Master as, again, this was his first ever time. The rest of the campaign goes on though, and Walter and I are ripping into the DM in private messages, which is admittedly very rude. But the problems were abundant by this point. According to the messages from Walter, the Dungeon Master revealed to him that everything was off the top of his head and would force us to roleplay amongst ourselves while he got his crap together. Neither of us minded this, as we liked the character interaction. Look, it's okay to pull back the curtain a little bit on your DMing, but doing it this much is bad form, at least in my opinion. Telling your players blatantly like, hey, you need to roleplay now because I don't have anything planned, it's just gonna make your campaign feel like crap. It's okay for a game to have some rips and tears and seams, but highlighting them is just stupid. But also, if this is a problem, talk to your DM about it. Don't make a group chat behind their back. That's like some high school crap, man. Come on. Neither of us minded this, though. We did like our characters' interactions. On the second to last session, the shenanigans continue. The Dungeon Master introduces a new character, a paladin who would accompany us on our journey. It became painfully obvious that this paladin was the Dungeon Master's character that he played in a previous game, and was super over-leveled. In a later encounter, we come across some creature, I think it was an owlbear, that was supposed to be a challenge. The paladin crit one-shots it, and the DM exclaims, this
racial slur
is dead. Here we have the Mary Sue Cheesy DMPC.
He's right behind me, isn't he? No, he's not. There's nothing behind me. Oh, crap.
Oh dear. Anyway, here is the spotlight hogging roleplay
that my love
DMPC.
finally came back to me, and we did make incredible love with. Dude, this monologue has been going on. Shut up! I'm almost done.
That's gonna go on for some time, I think. And finally here, oh, this is a new one. The Racist Gamer DMPC. I think we could do without this one. At this point, we had only been doing voice chat, none of us had seen each other's faces, but all signs pointed to this guy being white. Upon being confronted, he only defended with the strangest strawman arguments I've ever witnessed, saying we were in the wrong for taking offense to this slur. May, who was very calm and kind up until now, got blew up on the DM. She brought this problem up to the server owner, the owner who for some reason sides with the Dungeon Master, and all hell breaks loose. Even people in the server that weren't in the group dogpile on the owner and the Dungeon Master, and the whole server collapses after this. I haven't talked to the other players much since. Please don't sacrifice your D&D server just to say racist stuff. It ain't worth it. About a month after the whole ordeal, the Dungeon Master reached out to me and invited me to a new server to continue the campaign. And I, 15 and stupid, let the curiosity get the best of me and joined. I immediately noticed that there was an abundance of NSFW channels. Aside from the one D&D channel, I obviously felt uncomfortable and left the server, blocking the Dungeon Master and moving on. DM borderlining a yandere dev with that one. General rule of thumb, all you fellow adults don't have NSFW content or conversations around kids. It's really not that complicated. Also, I was crapping on OP for doing high school crap with the whole group chat situation, but this person was literally in high school, so checks out, I guess. I could have done some things better, but the Dungeon Master was completely in the wrong. I could have been less hypocritical of this new DM behind his back, and I should have blocked him immediately when the incident happened instead of giving him the short-lived second chance. The Dungeon Master should have known the weight of his words and should have known better to invite someone who he knew was 15 into a Discord server full of NSFW content. I'm thankful for my private messages with Walter, otherwise the story would be even more vague than it already is. To this day, I haven't played D&D with strangers since, and I'm afraid to do it again. Man, the high schooler twist took me a little bit by surprise, but it explains a lot of what happened here. Yeah, a lot of high schoolers aren't going to be the most mature. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn from this. Backtalking your DM is not a good idea. I don't think this guy would have been gun-ho for self-improvement, but hey, there's that chance. The server fiasco is more what I'm interested in. I actually unfortunately have experience with the whole Discord server fiasco. Sometimes I join Discord servers for D&D games or raids in video games, and some of those servers are already pre-established. They're not new servers, they're servers with an established community. And sometimes that community is just not great. Look, I'm not saying that every D&D game needs to take place in a brand new server, but just keep in mind and be aware that the DM invites you into an already established community. It could be an awesome group of people, or it could be a bunch of real friggin' weirdos. And look, I'm all for weirdos sticking together, but sometimes I need to stay away. Whew. And that's a wrap. If you guys enjoyed, then please do leave a like. If you want to see more of my content, then you can check out our Tabletop Tavern Tips series, where we give advice for both DMs and players, old and new. And while you're there in the cards, subscribe to Crispy's Tavern to get more of our content as it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own stories or thoughts, go down in the comments down below. If you cannot think of a comment, leave the comment "sudden racism" to let me know you made it to the end of the video. Hey, by the way, if you have your own stories, you can send them directly to us. There's an email down in the description down below. Send your stories our way for a chance to be featured in one of these videos. But hey, even if you don't have any stories, in essence, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you all next time. Farewell.
Have inspiration. Oh my god, my name is probably so. I have inspiration. I have inspiration. I